Hello, my name's Ashley Dinsmore, and this is a video explanation of problem 6a, which is the multiplication of d minus 3 times negative 2d plus 1 using Algeblocks. It is part of a video assignment for my Mathematics for Teacher course at Bridgewater State University. So to begin, I have my paper right here. Hopefully you can see it. I just write out the problem, which is 6a, and then I can you see that? Which is 6a, and then I write what it is. So it's the multiplication of, I'm just going to write on the line below because it's a little hard to write with this. Multiplication of d minus 3 times negative 2d plus 1. And I'm just double checking that I wrote it right. So we're doing multiplication. So what we're given in this one is 2 factors, and we're trying to find the area. So what I do is I write, I'll use a highlighter so you can see it. So I use a highlighter to do to show, the first factor, and I write it below just because I'm using pencil, so it's a little hard to see if you start highlighting all over it. So what I like to do is I like to highlight right below it. So that's my first factor, and then that's my second factor. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the Algeblocks mat itself. So this one's a little bit different than the ones that we have been using. They're a little bit trickier. I'm going to draw it nice and big so you can see it. So that's going to be like my whole mat. And then there's 4 different quadrants on this one, not just 2. So I'm going to draw those. And then I like to make these little lines where you got to draw the factors. I like to make those nice and big so that I can actually go back and see it. And then you have to label it. So this is plus, this is plus, also known as positive, negative, negative, plus, plus, and then plus, both of those are positive, and then negative, minus, negative, minus. Okay, so that is how it is set up. So this is positive over here, this is also positive, negative, negative, positive, positive, negative, negative. Okay. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the first factor, and it goes, I'm going to put it in this little slither. So I also have a hard time, like I said, with the highlighter and the pencil. So what I've learned to do is just to help me, I draw the highlighter on the outside. That's another reason why I make it nice and big. I don't want to color the whole thing because then it's really hard to read it later. So I do that for both. So that factor will go in here, and then this factor is going to go in the pink. So I'm going to make this one nice and pink so I can remember. Okay, perfect. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take our first factor, and I'm going to put it, it can only go in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do D, so positive D, so it's going to be D, And then I'm going to do minus 3. Or, I'm not going to do my, I don't know why I was going to do it there. I'm going to do positive d minus 3. Try to make those a little bit smaller so they look like they're just blocks. So negative d, or positive d, and then a negative 3. And then our next factor has to go in the pink, and we have a negative 2d. So those are both d's, and then plus 1. I'll try to make that a little bit smaller too. Plus 1. So this is a block, 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 block. This is a D rod, D, D. Make it look a little bit similar to the other ends. Okay, so now we have to find what this will make. So let's start over here. So we have a block and a D rod. So that would make just another D. We have a block, a block, a block, and a block. So a block and a block makes a block. So we'll say that's 1. A block and a block makes another block, which we'll say is 2. Block and a block makes another block. So we have 3 blocks right now. So that would be, if this was all we were doing, it'd be D minus 3 because it's in the negative. So let's see, so then we keep going. So let's do up here now. So D rod, this would equal a square, which would be known as D squared. Same with this one because it's the same 2, D and a D, D squared. So we have 2D squared right now. Then we have one little mat left. So we have a D, we have 1. We have a D, and then we have 1 again. So what I do is I pull it down. These are all the same. It's not getting multiplied by any different. So there's 3 rods. Let me make this one a little bit cleaner. So let me pull this apart. So there's 3 rods, but then we have 2 Ds, so we have to split those in half. So this would make 1 rod, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that are all D. So then here we have it. So this would be our answer. So now we just got to put those together. So we have a negative 2D squared right here. So I'm going to go and write this at the bottom. Negative 2D squared. And then we have, so we have a D up here and a D up here. So we have all together 7. And this is good because they're both positive on positive sides of the mat, which is great. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that would be represented as plus, since they're all positive, a 7D. And then what do we have left? So we did that, did that, did that. We have 3 blocks in the negative. So it would be minus 3 blocks. So here's our answer. So now we know what we were able to get. Let me make sure you can still read. And now we can write out what it was. So D minus 3 times a negative 2D plus 1 equals negative 2D squared plus 7D minus 3. Perfect. And that is how you solve the multiplication of D minus 3 times negative 2D plus 1. Thank you.